What makes a good shonen series? Is it the world building? The endless number of power systems? Is it the story itself? Is it the amazing Sakuga infused action scenes that make our monkey brains go ooh? Shiny. Maybe it's our underdog main protagonists who are striving to achieve a goal they've had since childhood, be it becoming the pirate king, the wizard king, or becoming the leader of their hidden ninja village. I'm sensing a pattern here. But with all that said, I'm here to answer the question that no one asked, and that's what makes a good shonen anime series. What's up guys, Tyron here, and if you didn't know already, I really love anime, especially shonen. It's one of my favorite genres when it comes to anime, and that's for a multitude of reasons. And in this video, I, and hopefully you, are gonna find out what makes a good shonen series. But before we do that, make sure to punch that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss every new video I drop. Now, to answer the question that I asked in the beginning of the video, we need to first understand what genre of anime we are dealing with. Unlike your typical get hit by a truck and reincarnate as a god with mythical Buddhist monk powers in another world, unlike your typical rom-com, shoujo, ecchi, and seasonal harem shows, shonen anime is typically a genre of anime that incorporates 3 of these 5 things in it, those being action, comedy, drama, fantasy, and adventure, sometimes incorporating all of these things into one story at the same time. But what about shows that don't include punch fighting like Komi Can't Communicate? It's technically a shonen series, but it doesn't have guys who can one-shot you in one punch. No, it's a slice of life shonen series about a girl who struggles with communication disorder. Her goal is to make 100 friends within her 3-year high school life and come out of her shell. Nowhere in the story does she turn into a god with blue hair and punch a weird god dog looking thing. So basically there isn't really a clear definition when it comes to describing what shonen is. I even looked up the definition for it, and it literally said the term shonen anime refers to a certain demographic and not the type of show itself. Therefore, shonen anime regularly covers every genre from romance, action, drama, slice of life, etc. So the term shonen can be applied to multiple types of shows, but to make it less difficult for myself, I've decided to define the shonen genre for myself as long-running shows or manga that have stories that are able to appeal to large audiences and provide a well-grounded story with good characters and good to great writing. And please remember the longest running part because it's very important. So now that I've finally spent an eternity describing a genre of anime, let's talk about what makes a good shonen series. With the amount of new shonen coming out every couple of years, it's become really difficult to pin down what makes a good shonen series and what makes a great shonen series. If you aren't lucky enough to be one of the big 3, that being Bleach, the king of filler Naruto, and the actual king of shonen, One Piece, then making a name for yourself in the shonen scene is gonna be a mission. If you don't have a compelling story, amazing world building, intricate power systems, amazing fight scenes, great side characters and villains and protagonists, then you can never hope to stand at the summit with the best. So, to start this discussion, let's talk about the first thing to consider when thinking about what makes a good shonen series, and that's the world building. Long-running anime giants like the big 3 are held to such a high pedestal because they embody some of the core aspects of what a great shonen series does so well. One Piece and Naruto being the biggest examples of how to use world building as the best way to move and expand your stories into new and better horizons. And if you don't agree with me or don't believe me, just think for a second. If the story of One Piece was based only around the islands of the East Blue, then One Piece wouldn't be as interesting as it is today. Imagine if Naruto's story never expanded beyond the Hidden Leaf Village and we never discovered the other villages, the other tailed beasts, and the state of the politics between each elemental land. It's things like these that make each of these shows feel lived in. It's elements like these that make these specific types of shows all the more mysterious. We still haven't explored most of the islands in the world of One Piece, but the knowledge and the fact that we know that they exist make it feel like we still have yet to see everything that is yet to be seen. The same can be said with one anime that's in my top 5 5 and one that's become my favorite but has a character that I really hate in it. I'll let you guess which is which. Both of these anime are Black Clover and Attack on Titan. Both of these stories that initially center on one single island location, cut off from the rest of the world, but large enough to require travel that does take more than one day or possibly a month to get from location to location. Yo, this is editor me. While making this video, I forgot that each kingdom in the Black Clover world is separated by the strong magic region, which are neutral zones filled with so much magic that it makes crossing over to the other kingdoms extremely dangerous. You could say these essentially act as borders, and while looking at the world map of Black Clover, the world may look smaller than it initially does, but I've kind of been thinking about this for a while, and the island that Black Clover might take place in might not even be an island and is possibly a large continent. But this is a theory, so if y'all think it's an island or a very big continent, please tell me why you think so in the comments. Back to the video. Attack on Titan, outside of the gigantic world outside of the walls, is massive enough that it's sometimes so easy to forget that the moment Eren's town gets invaded by Titans, they're still inside the walls because the scale and scope that is inside of the walls is so big. It's genuinely shocking to me, and it's even wilder that once the final season of Attack on Titan starts, we start with new characters in a new location that isn't on the island of Eldia. This massive island nation that we've been in for over 3 seasons is only a tiny portion of a bigger world that hates its very existence, and while the first half of the final season mainly goes back to Eldia, it ends with us finally stepping out into the world for story and plot reasons later. No spoilers. Attack on Titan has such a big world in and out of the walls, and that's what I think it excels in so well. Now that I've mentioned 2 shonen that have amazing world building, let's move on to the next thing that is typically a big topic of discussion when it comes to shonen discussions, and that's power systems. And listen, I'll keep this very brief because I'm not trying to start any discourse between any fan bases or whatever, but I really couldn't care less what power systems are the best when it comes to shonen, battle manga, or anime series in general. I don't care if you think Nen is a better power system than Haki. I don't care if you think the magic in Fairy Tail is better than the magic in Black Clover. Hi, it's editor me again, and I want to quickly mention this because I thought it was pretty interesting. But while I was looking at the power systems of each show before I eventually gave up, I discovered that while the power systems in Black Clover is based around magic, its main source of that power is mana, while Fairy Tail's power system is solely magic. Well, it isn't solely magic, because the overview for it says its magic is the physical embodiment of the spirit. One's magical powers are also tied to one's life force. So the magic systems may both center around magic being the core aspect. It's a contradiction because I just said magic systems with magic system. They aren't the same system of power. So apologies to both fan bases. I love you both. But with that being said, I still don't care about power systems. Back to the video. I don't care if you think the pyrokinesis ability in Fire Force is better than the curse techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen. I just don't care. Well, I do care, but I'm personally not invested in what people view as the best power system in shonen because there are so many that choosing or talking about one in particular would make this video 5 hours long. So we are not gonna do that over here, and what we are gonna do is move on to my 2 favorite things that I feel personally make shonen my favorite genre of anime, and that's the stories and the characters. Let's start this section off by asking you, my dear watcher, what makes a good story? What makes a great story? What makes a story compelling, gripping, enticing, and finally, and most importantly, what makes a story memorable? I'm gonna let you sit on that. We're gonna chill. Okay, we're not going to chill. The answer is the characters. A good character can make a bad series decent, but a great character can make a good series amazing. I'm of the belief that if your character has the personality of dry wallpaper, then your show won't last very long. And trust me when I tell you that it's very easy to make a character feel very one-dimensional. Yeah, I'm looking at you, you little bastard. Again though, when your characters feel like they contribute nothing to the story with their very existence, or make me feel like a side character is more entertaining than them, it makes watching the show feel like a giant waste of time. Good shonen series characters have the ability to make the story more engaging. Something I feel like we all fail to forget when watching a shonen series is that we are watching people's life stories happening right before us. Sure, we're watching Luffy start a war with the world government by shooting the flag in Eni's lobby. Sure, we're watching Izuku run into a fire to save his friend even though he knows he doesn't have any powers and will probably die. Sure, we're watching Natsu and Gajeel compete in one of the Grand Magic Games competitions even though they have motion sickness. But that's who these characters are, and that's why when we watch these stories they are in, we're so compelled to keep watching. It's Luffy's lack of hesitation and willingness to take on the entire world to save his friend that makes the story of One Piece that much better.
If that's Robin's enemy, then I know what to do. Sniper King. Shoot down that flag.
It's Izuku's drive and desire to become a hero even without having a quirk that makes the story better.
Young man, you too can become a hero.
And makes him the perfect inheritor for One for All. And lastly, it's Natsu and Gajeel's desire to help their friends who suffered for 7 long years after they disappeared from Tenro Island that makes Fairy Tail's themes of friendship that more beautiful.
The reason we're here is for our friends!
It's these main characters in these stories that make us want to keep watching or reading these stories, but that isn't to say that these main characters alone are the only people who make these shows that much better. While Black Clover follows Asta's journey to become the Wizard King, the story of Black Clover isn't only about Asta, it's about the Black Bulls. One Piece isn't a story that focuses solely on Luffy's journey to become the king of the pirates. No, it centers around each of the individual Straw Hats and the dreams they have and want to achieve too. And I'm not even scratching the surface of the stories I'm talking about, but I'll save those stories, analysis, whatever for their own video. But for right now, the last thing I want to talk about is themes. Now, for this last section of the video, I want to talk about 2 types of themes that most shonen have, and the first theme is the underdog story. Now, I'll be honest, in the beginning and early days of My Hero Academia and Black Clover, I didn't like Izuku and Asta respectively. I felt like these 2 characters were just carbon copies of Naruto. You know the formula by now. Insert shonen protagonist is born into unfavorable situations. They have to work twice as hard as their peers to achieve their dreams. They have an insert protege of a childhood best friend / rival who also wants to achieve the same dream but keeps losing every time they fight each other. One of their closest female friends has a crush or is in love with them, but our protagonist is too dense to realize it. Our protagonist has a mentor who teaches them or helps them learn to control their untapped potential. You see where I'm going with this? But it's this kind of underdog story that typically made me not like most shonen protagonists, because no matter what obstacle or challenge they face, I knew they'd end up winning in the end because they are or were designed for greatness the moment they popped into existence. But something changed on my second rewatch of Black Clover and My Hero. I started realizing that Asta and Deku aren't the chosen ones. They weren't chosen by destiny to save the world. They were never destined for greatness. Asta is a character the world visibly turned against because not only is he a commoner, but he was born into a world of magic as someone who has no magic at all, but wields anti-magic because of the devil in his grimoire. His lack of magic keeps him alive because, and this is a gigantic spoiler if you're an anime only watcher, yes, I'll spoil Black Clover but not Attack on Titan, but that's because I haven't haven't read that far into the manga. But Asta's mom's magic was the ability to absorb the magic of living beings and creatures around her. So Asta lost all the magic he would have been born with while he was in his mom's womb because of his mom's power. And to make it worse, in order to protect her son, she was forced to abandon him out of fear that she might take the rest of his remaining life force from him. Asta grows up like this, and from what I've seen about his character, wants to create a kingdom where status and magic power is irrelevant because he is someone who had neither. Deku, on the other hand, is a character like Asta who was born into a world full of people much stronger and much more capable than he was. He's born without a quirk, and even though this would be somewhat normal for most people, in a world where 80% of the human race has quirks, being quirkless would crush anyone with dreams of being a hero. But his caring nature for others and his desire to protect people even without having a quirk is what makes him the perfect candidate to inherit One for All. His determination to save Bakugo, even knowing the risk of dying is possible, is what draws All Might to him and makes him choose him as his inheritor. And again, I hope you remember when I said that Deku isn't the chosen one, because the power that Deku wields is a power that has the possibility of killing him if he exerts too much force. And if you don't believe me, allow me to use a fight with Overhaul for an example. Deku is using 90 to 100% of his full power in this fight. The only reason he doesn't die from exhaustion and his bones shattering is because of Eri's quirk, which keeps restoring his body to full health. This shows you that he's not safe from plot armor. At any moment, if Eri falters for a second, it could spell the death of Izuku and it would be the end of his story. This is, in my opinion, how you write a good underdog story. Both Asta and Izuku are characters we can root and cheer for when they overcome their challenges, and they're characters we can equally feel pain for when we see them fail or defeated. These are great shows, honestly, so I'm really surprised when they get shat on, but then again, this is the internet. Anything I like will obviously get hate on it. Moving on though, we are moving on to this next and final theme I want to talk about, which is found family. The idea of found family is something I've noticed a lot of in Shonen recently, with the release of Spike's Family and me rewatching and catching up to the One Piece manga. And on top of that, watching Fairy Tail and finishing Fire Force, found family is something that permeates throughout a lot of these stories. And if you don't know what found family is, it refers to people who aren't blood related forming familial bonds. This can be seen with the examples I mentioned earlier, that being Spike's Family, where the whole premise of the story outside of the assassin spy telepath stuff is a story of people who aren't blood related coming together to create a loving family. A spy who is now supposed to learn how to be a father to his adopted telepath of a daughter who's probably experienced a lot of trauma because of her power, and an assassin who now has to learn to be a caring mother and loving wife. Spike's Family is, in my opinion, one of the best in displaying all the traits of found family well. Other anime like One Piece and Fairy Tail do it very well too. Yeah, power friendship stuff, blah blah blah, there aren't any consequences, yada yada yada. I've heard it 1,000 times, and so have you. But Fairy Tail and One Piece are both stories that unite characters and have these characters forming bonds with people who aren't their own family. Two examples of this are some of my favorite arcs in each story, and that's Fairy Tail's Phantom Lord arc and One Piece's Enies Lobby arc. Now, before I get barraged with comments saying I'm comparing these arcs to one another, I'm not. These are two different stories from two different authors, and they may share similar themes, but I'm not comparing them to one another. So please, One Piece elitists and Fairy Tail haters, I know some of y'all just want me to say something so you can start your Fairy Tail hate train agenda, but I won't let you disrespect my baby like that. Forgive me though, because I'm going to summarize both of these arcs because they are very detailed, but I'm gonna try and summarize them as best I can. So now to begin. So Fairy Tail's Phantom Lord arc is probably one of the most underrated arcs in Fairy Tail, because unlike the Grand Magic Games arc and Tartaros War arc, this arc is one of the shortest arcs in the story, and it also takes place around the beginning of the story. The arc from the beginning looks like it's gonna be a war arc between Fairy Tail and Phantom Lord, when Phantom's very own Dragon Slayer attacks and levels the Fairy Tail guild hall before Natsu and the gang return from the island of Galuna. Fairy Tail's guild master Makarov initially plays it off because none of the Fairy Tail members were harmed, as the attack happened at night when no one was in the guild hall. It's only until the next day when Levi and the rest of Team Shadow Gear are attacked that prompts Makarov and the rest of Fairy Tail into action and taking the fight to Phantom. While the rest of the guild is away from Magnolia fighting Phantom Lord at their guild hall, 2 members of Phantom Lord's Element 4 capture Lucy, who stayed to watch over Levi and her team. It turns out that Phantom planned to lure out Fairy Tail in order to incapacitate Master Makarov by draining him of all of his magic. With their master incapacitated, they retreat, and Natsu overhears 2 other members of the Element 4 speaking about how they captured Lucy. Josei, Phantom's master, reveals to Lucy how his guild was contracted to take her back to her father. A defiant Lucy, who severed her bonds from her abusive dad, kicks him in the crotch and jumps off the tower she's been held in and is caught by Natsu. The arc now centers around Lucy and her friend's desire to protect her, because if there's one thing the Fairy Tail Guild doesn't do is sell out its own family. Some of my favorite moments in the series happen to come from this arc, with some of those being Urza tanking a full blast from the Jupiter cannon to protect not only Lucy and the rest of their friends, but the city of Magnolia too. We got Elfman's fight with Soul and him finally learning to control the form that killed his sister so he can protect his other sister Mira Jane, to the first battle of the series 2 Dragon Slayers, and finally to Makarov's final judgment and him using one of the 3 great fairy spells, Fairy Law. And again, all of this as a result to protect one single guild mate, because it doesn't matter who you are and it doesn't matter if you are blood related or not. If you are a member of Fairy Tail, then you are part of the Fairy Tail family. And this Fairy Tail arc ends with one of my all-time favorite anime moments, with Lucy rejecting her father and choosing her actual family. It doesn't get more Fairy Tail than that.
It doesn't matter that you're my father. If you threaten us, we will crush you just like any other enemy!
Moving on to Enies Lobby, and probably one of One Piece's top 5 arcs. This arc centers around the rescue of Robin, and while Water 7 and Enies Lobby are joint arcs, I'm specifically gonna talk about Enies Lobby because of this moment right here.
Robin! There's still something I want to hear you say! Tell me you want to live! I want to live! Take me with you! Take me away from here!
Now, unlike summarizing Fairy Tail's arc, I want to talk about how this one moment made me see Luffy and the Straw Hats as more than just friends traveling together and having adventures, but an actual family that is willing to fight the entire world, even if it means protecting one member of their family. I said earlier in the video that it took me rewatching Black Clover and My Hero for a second time to fully realize what I was actually watching, and outside of the pirate adventure, and to steal my favorite new YouTuber's favorite term, punch fighting of our favorite sun god Luffy, outside of all the political intrigue of One Piece that is in the world of One Piece and multiple mysteries surrounding the world of One Piece, I never took time to really appreciate the characters we were following along on this journey, and it took a second watch for me to really value each of our Straw Hats. And going back to watch Enies Lobby after finishing Water 7 for me to see how the Straw Hats see each other, and that they aren't just friends to each other, they're all a family. Enies Lobby happens as a result of her desire to protect her friends, her being Robin, from the world government. but Luffy and the Straw Hats invade the Judicial Island to save a member of their family whose trauma is being used against her because the world government views her as a threat. Seeing Robin's backstory again before she gives her iconic line made me really see how traumatized she was. The world government, in an attempt to keep their secrets from being exposed, not only destroyed Robin's home but killed her new friend, the people who actually accepted her, and the mother who had just returned to the island. Not only that, but they branded her as a demon child because of the knowledge she possessed that they believed destroyed the system they built. Her trauma and depression followed her until she finally met the Straw Hats and finally felt like she found a place she belonged in. With the Straw Hat crew, she finally found a family that accepted her without asking for anything in return. But when their lives were threatened, she felt that sacrificing herself was the only way she could repay them for the love and kindness they showed her. But Robin wanted to keep staying with her family, her newfound family. She wanted to live because their adventure wasn't done yet, and she still had to finish what the scholars of Ohara, no, not that one, started all those many years ago. But the most important part was that she wanted to live because she finally found the family that she'd been searching for so many years. This is honestly my favorite moment in One Piece because it shows me that before anything else in the world, the Straw Hats see themselves as each other's family, and this, in my opinion, is one of the best representations of found family in anime. The best shonen anime know how to use the underdog story and the theme of found family well to tell compelling stories that keep people watching. But with all that said, I still haven't answered the question I asked in the beginning of the video, and that's what makes a good shonen series? Well, I don't know, and that's the beauty of it all. All these shonen series, be they battle shonen, romance and slice of life shonen, adventure or mystery shonen, have something uniquely special that make them amazing. Yes, Fire Force has the pacing of a fly that landed on crack, but the fights and animation and sound design are fantastic. And you know what's another great show that has a poop plotline? Demon Slayer. But not every other series on this video that I pointed out can do this. Yes, Fairy Tail doesn't have the most amazing story told in the history of shonen, but the bonds of friendship and love these characters have for one another is what makes watching and reading the story that much better. Yes, Asta is a character who yells a lot and screams, but he's also a character who we can constantly cheer for when he's fighting his opponent. And fighting opponents he probably has no chance of winning against. Do you see where I'm going? Shonen is and will always be my favorite genre of anime because the possibility and the number of stories you can tell in the medium are limitless. We really need to applaud the authors who created all these stories from their imaginations and made us fall in love with the medium of fiction. Yeah. Just clap. Just clap for Ichiro Oda, Yuki Tabata, Horikoshi, and Hiro Mashima for all the anime they gave us. Just give them their flowers. Hey guys, welcome to the outro thing. I know this is very different from the typical music commentary that is on this channel. I've really been thinking about where I should take the channel from here on out, and I wanted to stay true to the thing you see on the header of the channel, and that's talking about things I like and don't like. Anime is a really big passion of mine, and there's so much anime related content I want to make moving forward, but it isn't just anime content alone. I want to talk about the things that I personally take joy in, be that music, film, anime, or just general commentary, because this channel at the start was going to be a music commentary channel, but I didn't want to feel cramped by boxing myself into one style of commentary. I love a multitude of things, and I want to grow this channel and this commentary space community thing more with the stuff I talk about. So if if you are new here, I highly recommend subscribing because we are definitely building a community here, and you don't want to be the odd man out, bro. Just subscribe and be part of the family because it's lit over here. Thanks again for watching all the way to the end. This video took a nightmarishly long time to make, and I appreciate anyone who leaves a comment and likes this video. I'm gonna start making and taking this channel more seriously by dropping videos every 2 weeks, so stay tuned, and with that, I'll see y'all later.